What's good, everybody? It is your boy Czarr, all rights reserved. Hopefully, Amanda said something happened that she's dealing with, but I'm here with the original cast. As always, we're going to get into it. We're going to conversate about some things. She's not here for me to speak on certain direct subjects, but there's certain ones that I am going to cover with the group. We're also going to discuss yesterday's live. Let them know how they can reach you guys. Whoever wants to go first.
All right. This is Chris A. You can reach me on IG. That's Chris_A, AY the number 3, and on Twitter. Same thing. Chris_A, AY3.
Queen.
All right. Everyone can check me out at Queen Prodigy on Twitter and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram. I'm usually on there at Queen Prodigy. 0369. Queen Prodigy 0369 on IG. Consult me if you would like personal readings or coaching. Let me know.
Okay. I'm going to skip around the part that I had set out for her since she has not arrived yet. But due to yesterday, what are y'all thoughts on the blackmail? How far do you believe the blackmail goes in contingency? If we're looking at it in the one situation that we've seen it, but do you believe the whole ideology of the blackmail itself and how it has to do with the situation could be within the law enforcement angle?
For one, I feel like it would put a situation to where that would be plausible, given the fact that certain individuals were extremely quiet after his demise. Because I would assume that certain people, not to say that everyone's the same, as far as expressing certain things, but I would assume after maybe about 6 months, people would be more vocal. But now we're seeing certain advertisement go up for individuals who don't have much to do with them anymore, allegedly.
Now, the ideology dealing with different situations, the suspect ideology, that's part of what I'm trying to understand, because we have suspects that are in a position speaking a certain way. What do you think is going to happen if they walk?
I'll say like this. From what I can understand, from what I can sense, and what I've been saying since the beginning, from what I can observe, as far as how certain people are seen like canaries, I won't be surprised. I just won't. I'm not going to be that surprised if that's the case. Because, certain situations are going to make other people have a more guiltier motive than others. And I'm not too sure if it's true, but there's been speculation that certain individuals, certain suspects have asked for a dismissal from the case.
Yeah. As far as it goes with the investigation, what do you perceive the knowledge about? Let's say 80% of the evidence has been found to date. What percentage and where do you think they're searching for the rest of the evidence?
I feel as if certain situations, maybe about a good 65% is probably accurate, in my opinion. And I feel as if when it comes down to collecting certain evidence, they've had to go back to get DNA samples from certain individuals. There's also been speculation about pertaining to the autopsy and how that wasn't handled appropriately, and how they had to let someone who was performing the autopsy go due to their negligence on what may or may not have been able to obtain So, with that being said, what does that do to the evidence? What if certain things were not tested to have a basis of what actually happened to him?
What about you, Chris? What's your thoughts?
I think as far as the evidence goes, I think, timing is everything. Wow. Nothing started really. So I think that they're gathering whatever they try to make it presentable and look good, because it's gonna come out to the public. All the holes, screw ups, and you mentioned that she thinks about 65% of the accuracy of the evidence that they might have.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say in reality it's probably about 25 to 30%.
Okay. I would agree that the whole ideology of Tentacion's legacy is about helping others. It's doing what he did to assist others to grow. So I swiftly want to say, if that's the case, and helping others, there were people that could have allegedly been helping themselves. What do you believe the level of threats Geneva would receive would be, and what for? Either of you, did you hear what I had said?
If you can repeat it, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I said, if you're looking at the level of threats, because it was saying that Geneva's receiving threats from an alleged affiliate, what would be the level on a scale from 1 to 10, and what for is she being threatened?
Well, let's just be honest. Certain people are close to the situation, and to be completely honest with you, the real question would be, why is that individual not being questioned as well? If certain people are making statements to the alleged individuals still having communication with each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So understanding that, do you believe she was receiving her fix through these parties? Because, I mentioned acid yesterday, it was mentioned. Is it through these parties that she's receiving these hookups? Or do you think that she's going out searching for it herself?
I'm going to be pretty blunt about certain situations. When it comes down to certain people coming into the music industry scene, that type of party club scene, I'm assuming most of them know each other.
Now,
so it wouldn't be that difficult to meet certain people or to have certain engagement.
Now, knowing this, do you believe that it would be far-fetched to allegedly say Genesis is involved in the same dabblings? That Geneva's not the only one?
I'm sorry, repeat the question the first time.
Would you think it's safe to say that Genesis is involved in the same things as Geneva when we're talking about these type of things?
Well, honestly, that is something that would have to be confirmed to people that she knows that she's close to. But there's just been certain situations that have come up that have made speculations about, specific characteristics that she displays.
What about you, Chris? What do you think? Do you think it's possible that allegedly Genesis is involved in these same type of interactions as Geneva has gone through?
Yeah, I would believe so. You gotta look at the war around X, and that's just living it up. So to be part of that circle, you gotta be down, and you gotta do what you gotta do.
And we also heard about the situation where Amanda alleged she was messing with people in the house do you believe at one point in time, whether before or after, Genesis could have participated in the same activity, allegedly?
Yeah, I think so too.
So yesterday's convo and thoughts. Is there any immediate thought that you guys would like to bring forward dealing with yesterday's live?
But I didn't catch it all. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be interesting to have Geneva's friends of the live, and I guess putting out that the info she did.
Mm-hmm.
I think what one has to wonder why or say certain things about a best friend. Almost as if the best friend grabs her access to speak on her. So there's a lot of trickery and BS going on with this. But I wish she was here in my life now.
Yeah, she said that she had something to do. I don't know. Maybe she'll come in at some point in time. She's always welcome. I sent her the invite earlier. Let me go down to something else that was very interesting that was mentioned. In this live, it was said, on yesterday's live, it was said that there may have been a situation where financial gain occurred. Do you believe that financial gain could have occurred on the backside involving law enforcement?
I think so. Ex-reference in his own song.
So if we presume law enforcement could have been involved to receive something from this, would that indicate why, when it comes to the investigation, we heard many different dealings of people that were initially working the case having changed?
Well, it had to change if they were in the words of TheCzarr, 25,
Mm-hmm.
So they have to change them if they want to get the case right. They obviously caught them with something that could have hurt the public, because let's be for real here, they're looking out for their own. They don't want to look at that. So that goes back to also with the percentages of how much evidence they really have. We're going on a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like ridiculous. It's like at this point, it's like it's almost like it's all unfolding, and the truth is coming out slowly, but it's just going at a crazy pace.
Quickly, I wanted to say to Quattro Mercy, Victor is Irish, and don't ask me how I know. Let me see something else real quick. Queen, why would Geneva have allegedly lied about being pregnant?
I think that maybe it's due to the situation of wanting to keep someone around, not wanting to move on, especially given the fact that he is probably gaining a lot of notoriety for his music.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with that out the way.
But Czarr, I think that you might have faked that or said that because I believe it was she that got caught with one of ex-boys, no?
Right.
So at that point, you're doing a desperate act. And don't get me wrong, she could have been pregnant and maybe miscarried. Nobody really knows. But when it comes out like that, one has to take that she's at a point of being desperate. Who doesn't want to be around someone that's staying unfortunate and living it up?
Mm. Okay. Let me throw this out here. Do you believe that Geneva could have allegedly had prior knowledge to X's situation?
To my awareness, okay, I feel as if when it comes down to specific things, it would possibly show certain connections, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can only go off of what people have speculated on the internet, and we can only go off of facts, right?
Right.
So it's been stated that someone is a relative to the suspect.
Mm-hmm.
And also looking at specific situations and how people had former affairs with others, and how, you know, certain embarrassing situations happen. And now we're seeing that, you know, in certain love triangles, that two of those people are no longer here.
Yes.
That's kind of deep, is it not?
Okay. All right. I'll give you that one. I can't argue it. Did Genesis have prior knowledge allegedly? Do you believe she knew?
Again, if the courts are stating that that could be factual, then why wouldn't we assume so?
Yeah. Now let me ask this too, and this, both of you, let me know. Do you believe in the Gekkum timeline fitting X as the father?
I'm going to say that it's definitely possible, but you know, again, it depends on what exactly were individuals doing and were they around him 100% of the time.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I agree with Queen. I think it's possible, very possible. Of course, what makes it not believable is you clearly see people's marketing strategies, and that's what taints it.
So with that said, in seeing how that fits, do you believe it was possible that these factors we've spoken of have tied Cleo's hands in some way? If we presume that there's a situation causing issue to her that's not legal, but she's so focused on the fact her son's gone, could she be being taken advantage of by past associates?
I mean, what is the commonality of how people respond when there's a lot of money involved?
Well,
what's the natural response? And people actually, I'm going to assume that a lot of people don't get along with each other, and everybody's going to, as you stated before, create situations of, you know, alleged blackmail, right?
Right. So if I'm presuming that, say that there isn't a reason, can you think up a reason why? Now, if you can't, you can't. Exactly from a legal standpoint, any standpoint, she would take the time to actually block the DNA test. Can you guys personally think up a reason?
I think it's multiple scenarios, but the more realistic ones to me would be first. I'll give you two. So the first, yes, they're playing chess, and there is blackmailing involved, and for her to block the DNA test, it's almost like calling Genesis out on a bluff. Second would be expose her to him. not his.
Okay. The next two ones I want to add in, I want to add in my views to that too, is I'm gonna publicly just say what I think it could be. Number one, I'm gonna go the legal route. Legally, the reason I believe Cleo would make this move, and I said it was smart, is because this girl openly has been in the media. Now, Cleo was so kind as to let you go into the media and literally boost your clout to the media in front of a news station. Okay. She let you do that because she could have blocked that, but she let you do that. But then it's like after that, you turn around, and I presume she saw some form of laziness in your behavior where you weren't giving the respects due to the mother of someone that you're saying that I co-parented with, created this child. That's one of the things you don't want to do, is disrespect the mother. So I presume that it could have been that situation, dealing with that. So she said, you know what? You're in the public media doing a lot. Let me step up and remind you who's in charge. So like Chris said, I think she would call her bluff, like, wait, you're getting too much attention, calm it down. And that's on a legal standpoint because she's making a lot of deals, just doing a lot of inking and things for the kid. And honestly, she really doesn't have the right without permission. But let's step over here, away from the legal side. Why would I look at DNA test? And it goes back to this very thing you said too, Chris, chess. One of the reasons, if I'm thinking of me blocking a DNA test, I would block it, is if I'm dealing with someone who's unruly and who's literally attempting to put themselves in the power to make decisions that they have no right making, being that their self-interest is in just self. When we already know Cleo was selfless when she allowed you to have a place to stay with her during the kid, took care of you. You didn't need for meals. I've already denied myself to take care of you, but you want to step into the public, boost your own ego in your name, get your clout up without showing respects to me, but then walk all over me and make it public. Oh, you left the house, you did this, like you're rebelling against me when I ain't your mama. Shout to all the mothers on Mother's Day, but I ain't your mama. So you doing that to me is disrespectful because you're doing what you want to do when I'm telling you what you need to do after I paid for your livelihood. That's when things get shaky. Now let's get it a bit deeper on that one. So the reason I'm going to block the DNA test is to say, wait, you need to calm yourself down because she's taking the self-interest. Remember, Genesis is noted in the magazine clip as saying about her taking the DNA test. No one had contested or mentioned her to do it. I literally, a week prior to you even saying it, said, take a DNA test. Yay or nay? I did. So to say no one said it, I get what you're doing. But that type of disrespectful rhetoric, it's not going to fly with Cleo. Cleo has girl, you're staying, not paying anything with her, eating, sleeping. Now, allegedly, she still finds you a place to stay. All I want to say is I hope to the good God that that is not blackmail that you're doing to her. After all she's done, just because she has it, does that mean that you can take it from her? Does that mean that you're owed something if the kid's taken care of? Just because, do you know how many mothers are single and work to keep food in their kids' mouth? But you're going to step up and say you're owed something because you see how she's living after the many more years she lived than you. Think about that. That's why I can see, I'm using all these swirling thoughts to say, I block it in. Like, I don't care about what they saying. You stay in your place. I took care of you. I got receipts from you, bills, asked for nothing, made sure you had a place to rest your head after you left and dissed me and didn't want to follow my rules. But you think you're going to come back and hold something over my head? That's why I'm telling a lot of these people that When you're playing the game fast and loose like that, and you're getting at people to boost yourself, you're causing dangers because you're not respecting the hand that feeds you. That's simple stuff. That's a hand that fed you, literally. And you know what? I can see that too. Cash Money said about the fact that they feel that it's old because of the baby and X. I understand that. But also, the baby was a product of her son who's no longer here. So ultimately, from the pictures I'm allegedly seeing, Genesis is hanging out and living her life. Cleo every day has to live with that. Genesis can get with a new dude and focus on a relationship. Cleo's always going to have to live with the fact her son's gone. Like, there's a major difference. In that token, she's always going to have to live with the fact her son. So this is her son. This ain't just a smash. Now, unless you were a virgin when you met him, which allegedly, to what I have in the background, I haven't spoken on, is not the truth at all. Come on, where's she going with it? Now, I spoke on it briefly about blackmailing or anything, chasing clout off of a deceased boy's mother. It's so horrendous. I don't even want to speak about it if that is allegedly the case. So we're going to go forward. Looking at the case as it stands and looking at the suspects, do you believe a female energy or a female presence was duly involved in what occurred to Tentacion, Queen and Chris?
I've already predicted previously that certain individuals that he has had relations with know of what's going on with this particular case. So I'm going to leave it at that. But also pertaining to certain situations, I would assume that there's a lot of ego going on when it comes down to the protection of Yumi. And that's when things get a bit more personal, because I would assume that on one hand, someone would have more wherewithal to know how to move, how to move through the media more appropriately than not, right? They would have more knowledge on that versus someone that only sees the benefit of what's to gain from all of it.
Chris? I'm sorry.
And I would assume that, you know, if you're thinking about what, I feel like no one's really thinking about what Czarr would have wanted at the time. I think that's what should have probably been the top priority, is to figure out what he would have wanted, which would have been to keep the child under wraps, you know, for a little while, and then release something that they can both amicably agree on.
Okay. Chris? Is he there? Did I lose him? Okay.
Oh no. Can you repeat that, Czarr?
I said, what are your thoughts as far as a woman's energy and women being involved? Do you believe that a woman could have potentially been involved with what we've seen happen?
Yes.
What would be one thing you'd point out as saying, I sense a woman in this particular fashion?
You gotta, the woman, it's two baby moms and Geneva. You have to assume that there is a woman presence involved because of these relationships he had. Because we really don't know, honestly, if he had a toxic relationship with Genesis before his alleged demise. But we know the issues that he was having with Geneva, and he's a feisty dude and she's a feisty female, and you know what? They have a lot of friends in common. It's like somebody once told me, I think out there, everybody knows everybody. It's a small town. So.
And I wanted to say this quickly about Geneva. You know, being able that I've come to understand during Queen and her discussion that she has a past of someone violating her as she's young. Part of what I wanted to talk to Amanda with today was that I hope whoever did it did get caught. Not only do I hope that, I sincerely hope that you don't let that ruin you. I think if you put your mind to something, you are able to do it much better and bigger. I don't want you to let the, let's say, ferociousness of someone who is devout of their own free will versus caring about the will of others, because not one man could look me in my eyes and says they hope their daughter gets assaulted or they hope something bad happens to her. But I wanted to tell you, Geneva, that like, I know you've been through a lot. I know you're probably going through a lot now, but always remember to do what's right for the majority of what's around you and to consistently strive to become greater. You know, I sat back and I'm respectful. After we did have the conversation, you know, I spoke with Queen again. I watched some of the videos with X taking care of you. And there's one thing that stuck to my mind. He actually really cared about you. He made a song for you. Okay. He made a song for Jocelyn, but he made a song for you. Even throughout his mistakes, I don't know. I plead the fifth on any knowledge about whether the beatings were occurring, but he always made sure you were a part of his life whenever he was out and free. And because he took the time to do that, that spoke volumes of what he was trying to make happen. You know, I mean, the only reason I say that is because you retracted the statement of what happened. Not only did you retract the statement, you were showing up at parties with his friends. That's where I can't really fit it in, you know, and there's no excuse. If a man does put his hands on a woman at any time, she should leave. It should never be. It's hard to say sorry for the physicalness. You can get in a screaming match and apologize for words, but physicality, it is a man's job to stand strong in his place and fend off without harming the one he loved. If you can't imagine another man harming who you love, you shouldn't be able to perceive yourself doing it to her. And when a man reaches a level where he's doing that, he should know instinctually to get away from it, because you should not be sticking in there, and no woman should be sticking in there, because that type of relationship can lead to a very bad outcome. And I do believe that. But I also believe that you have a lot to offer for yourself, for others around you that love and care about you, that may be family or anyone. And the only thing I'm disappointed in is if the alleged thoughts of having done something a certain way to put anybody in the alleged mother's position when you know she's hurt. I'm very disappointed at you. That's a terrible thing to do. And he would be very disappointed if he known that you were doing that, especially with the care you have for you. Because I'm pretty sure if he could perceive you do this, anyone, not just you, would do this to his mother, he would have cut all ties with you. He wouldn't mess with you. You wouldn't be a friend. He wouldn't have you around. I know that much. So I just felt that on my heart to let it be out there, you know, because I realized Geneva had been through some stuff, and maybe that is who she's become, but that doesn't define who you'll become. And it's up to you to make that change. But you got to understand, when you've done something for such a long time to harm someone's life, some stuff is unforgivable, and you have to move on from some stuff, because if you care the right way, you wouldn't have did that in the first place. I'm being honest. I'm speaking from a perspective of dealing with the same type of things any man has dealt with and not making the choice to attack a woman. I just want to put that out there. Back to the questions. Now, this is to Queen and Chris. How many people do you believe could allegedly be involved with this on a scale from 1 to 15?
again, please?
How many people do you believe is actually involved in this situation on a scale from 1 to 15?
I'll give a minimum of 9.
Chris?
15.
Okay. Do you two believe it was premeditated?
I believe so.
Yep, same. I believe.
Okay. And this actually, the premeditated nature of how things are, still sticking to that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how close to Tentacion do you think that the nature of the occurrences were? 10 being right beside him.
I would say 10.
Queen?
And the question was again, I apologize.
No, it's fine. I said, how close do you believe people involved in doing stuff that would be in the amount of people of 9 that you named in a premeditated manner? How close do you believe they were? 1 to 10, 10 being right beside them.
I think it would be on a level of, and it depends on the how can I say it? I'd probably say like an 8 or a 9, simply because of the fact that when you say people that are like right next to him, like that gets a little tricky because it gets a little tricky.
Okay. Do you believe affiliates know or knew, or are all suspects and affiliates scapegoats?
Scapegoats for
the murder situation. Do you believe all affiliates knew or know, or do you believe they're all scapegoats?
I believe that everything was done on a basis of, first on the first level, on a spiritual level, to where certain dark magic occurred, and then it transpired into something more physical.
Okay. Enough said about that. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely, do you believe law enforcement was involved in the situation?
I do definitely 10 on that one.
Chris?
Me too, 10.
Do you believe Geneva aspired to religion, or she was a dark arts practitioner? 1 or 10? 10 being she was strictly dark arts, 1 being she was a simple religion of the normality we know.
I'm assuming that it's clearly displaying that that's an absolute 10, especially given the fact that she has been possessed before.
Okay. Chris?
Same thing, 10. I've seen questionable pics of her, some weird stuff. So
Okay. Do you believe that Genesis is allegedly smashing an affiliate of X's after his passing? 1 being no, 10 being absolutely. And you can always give a number in between, but I just give you the maximum.
I'd say 5.
Okay. So it's up in the air.
It's a 5. Just based on we don't know if this is why Cleo doesn't have never put pictures up, or we just don't know. Maybe Cleo got wind, was disappointed in her. We just don't know. But I say 5 also.
Queen, do you have a number?
question again, please?
Do you believe that Genesis was smashing, allegedly, an affiliate of X's after his passing? 10 being absolutely, 1 being no.
Again, I would probably agree with Chris as far as that being a 5 because that's personal information. But again, everybody's just coming off of a basis of speculation instead of having concrete proof of where her affiliations are.
I would understand what you both are saying, but body language, in my opinion, is very telling. And I have some very eerie photos of her posing with people. I just thought that was an interesting question to ask. You know, and I gotta say this too. 1 to 10, okay? 10 being absolutely, 1 being, and you can always pick a number in between. 1 being no. And I'm gonna ask these 3 questions. Do you believe minors were involved in a lot of the after parties that were going on?
Yes, I do.
Queen?
In that particular lifestyle, things would be very attractive, which would naturally attract probably a younger crowd, teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not to say that these people aren't probably having fake IDs. I don't know how many kids are doing that nowadays. I don't think that's a generalized situation. But giving the behavior of certain managers recording young artists through pedophilia, I wouldn't put it past them. Okay.
So is your answer a 5 or a 10 or a 1?
I'll probably say maybe it's more like an 8, depending on who's around.
Okay. Now again, looking through this, do you believe, and 10 being absolutely, 1 being no, do you believe Jocelyn Flores's situation had anything to do with what happened to X as well?
That Jocelyn Flores situation has something to do with Ja's in the result of what happened to Ja? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Well, from a ritualistic standpoint, yes.
Chris?
Yeah, sorry, I got a call in the middle of that. Could you repeat that?
Yes. Do you believe that Jocelyn Flores' situation had anything to do with Tentacion's situation?
You want me to rate that from 1 to 10?
Yes. 10 being yes, absolutely. 1 being no.
5 again on that one.
Okay. So now these suspects are fighting consistently, like they're trying to stay above the water. And I'm not really understanding where they're coming with this, but 1 to 10, again, do you believe these suspects are fighting their case to bring others down, or fighting it to prove what happened? 10 is to prove what happened. 1 is to bring others down.
I think 10, it has to be 10. 10 to prove what happened. But they have to prove without a reasonable doubt they weren't involved. So 10.
Okay. Queen?
And the question again, please.
Do you, from on a scale 1 to 10, everything's 1 to 10. So 10 is going to be one answer, 1's going to be the other. And you can have in between.
I'm just wanting the question.
10 in this situation would be, as I'm asking, do you believe the suspects are fighting to bring others down or to themselves prove their innocence. 10 is prove their innocence. 1 is bring others down.
Well, that would definitely have to be a 5 because I would feel like it's both, to be completely honest with you. Simply because of the fact that they certain individuals would definitely do everything that they can to fight for their innocence, which they've displayed already, or they've already attempted to state on some intricate level. But also, given the fact that they are having private investigators to find or research more information about gang-related activities, other affiliates involved, other evidence that may be involved, hiring private investigators, that would indicate that there's something much more deeper than what we are being told.
Okay, mastermind influence. How influential do you think the mastermind energy is in this entire situation? On a scale of 1 to 10, very being 10, 1 being not at all.
I would say,
as far as there being a mastermind involved.
No.
And
well, yes and no, because it's saying mastermind influence. So his influence over the situation, how important do you think it is to playing out, to exactly controlling how everything's playing out, as if he's interacting maybe with directly influencing or not directly influencing and using others? How affluent do you think his handle is right now to date and where the case stands? 10 being very affluent and 1 being not at all.
well, as far as how it stands now, I'd probably say a 4. I feel like there's a lot of things being, certain people are losing control over what they thought they could control.
Okay, Chris?
I was going to say 5 on that.
Okay.
The same reason Queen said, that things are starting to unfold. You can sense blackmailing, and yeah, I'd say 5.
Okay. So with all of that said, next we have the 3 major ones. So on a scale of 1 to 10, dealing with X's music, 10 being someone's trying to steal the energy, 1 being it remains in its purest form. What is the number that you choose to represent the way his music stands in reference to those left behind to carry on the legacy?
When it comes down to his music, I feel like that's like a completely, it's like it's its own entity, you know. He created something that is the glue that brings all of us together in this moment now, whether if it's through love, through conversation, through gossip, through clout, through whatever. That's what he did. But I feel like from a musical standpoint that his motive was to probably tell people the truth through his music, but to also bring healing in that aspect as well.
Okay, so what number from 1 to 10?
1 being what again?
10 is someone's definitely trying to steal it and steal its energy. 1 is being, nope, not at all. It's standing pure as it is.
From what he's already created.
No, it's just 1 to 10 off of the way it's worded. I don't want you to add too much more to that. I'm just asking it how it is.
Okay, because like if we're because I'm when I'm thinking about his music, I'm thinking also about his style.
No,
you know what I mean? If I'm contemplating his style and how there are all these rappers that are coming up that are starting to look like him and sound like him, that's a whole nother ball game. But if we're talking about just the music that he's laid out and individuals that may have control over that, then that might be a different story.
We're talking about his music in a general sense. So in a general sense, his music,
and
everything.
I will leave it at a 5 because that's, I'm kind of split between those two, to be honest.
Okay. Chris?
I'd say like an 8.
Okay.
I'd say an 8 because he's definitely his energy. Definitely his energy. He was very he had a lot of energy, and so I'd say an 8 almost.
Looking at X's mentality in his last days, so as far as X actually having passion to help others, to create a venue, going out of his way, how relevant do you think that was to putting him off guard to the situation, dealing with the dangers around him? 10, it would left them completely off guard. 1, it didn't do anything to affect the outcome.
I feel that Czarr was extremely intelligent. So I would probably say, if I could give a number, maybe a 3, simply because he was suffering from paranoia since 6 months before he passed.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I'd say a 5 on that.
Okay. As far as his legacy, now we've seen X's legacy and we know how much more powerful it's going to be over time. We know this. Looking at his legacy as is, what is the ability, or let's say the opportunity, that we're going to see someone surpass or match his legacy? 10, absolutely someone's going to match or surpass him. 1, he'll never have an equal or anyone get near to surpassing him.
I would say, I guess in that music industry, there's always going to be somebody eventually that comes by and has the juice.
So, well, let's question. Let me add, I'm talking about within his state, his session, just the people he brushed shoulders with. No future come up. Just the people he's brushed shoulders with.
Nobody's touching him at all.
So 1 would be never, they never could. 10 would be absolutely. Oh, okay. Queen?
I would probably say that he's kind of untouchable at this point because he's released a new wave of what he did. It's kind of like taking the opportunity to move the mainstream of what's happening in Atlanta down to Florida, right? Mm-hmm. Making that like the new place, the new hot spot to be in the South.
Okay. Now I'm getting into the bonus round. This has to do with what I brought up about the situation: love, envy, and revenge. With love, there's certain characteristics we could pull out the situation. Fake love, mother's love, and love of music and money. Which one do you think was most afflicting to this situation? And it's fake love, a mother's love, or love of music and money.
Oh, that's to kind of sum it up, because I feel like I would take a piece from each of those situations, depending upon what he was intending on doing, as far as either getting away from that situation, being around that situation. Mm-hmm. I would just sum it up under fake love.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
Okay.
Fake love.
Now let's think about envy. Envy of stardom, envy of worth, envy of attention. What do you think was the most afflicting nature that was taken by the true alleged suspect that would be linked to the situation? Envy of stardom, envy of worth, or envy of attention?
That's a scale, or you want me to give you like
Well, out of those three.
honestly, to be brutally honest, all three capital letters.
Okay. And Queen?
I would agree.
Thinking about revenge. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Revenge. So revenge was another one that I named. Out of these three, which one do you think was most powerful in the reasoning behind what occurred? Revenge of the past, revenge in the present, a hidden agenda of revenge.
I would think that most occurring situations would probably come from the past and having obligations to either answering to those obligations from previous awareness or previous agreements, and that may or may not have possibly gone through, or certain people may or may not have wanted to either participate in those situations anymore.
Chris?
Can you repeat the three?
Out of the case of revenge, what three parts do you think were most afflicting in the mindset of why this occurred the way it did? Revenge of the past, revenge in the present, or a hidden agenda of revenge?
This is two out of the three for me.
Okay, which one do you think will be the lesser of the two?
The second one you said.
So revenge in the present.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to quickly run down the scorecard. Speaking about those, with love, fake love. Tentacion not only had a song about fake love, but we saw that there were many different behaviors that were odd, i.e., there was a receipt of the mold of the head with the neck piece missing that a lot of people didn't see, but it was created for him. That was a form of fake love. Why would you create me a statue and not make it perfectly fitting to me, but make it have some type of defect that would be synonymous with that of which my end came in? Mother's love. You know, I've been through a lot with my mother, but I love my mother very much. Why would anybody try and get over on her? Why would anybody portray her as a monster? If someone really cared about me and wanted to be in my presence and be someone that I support and supports me back, why would they ever hold a grudge against my mother? Love of music and money. Love in the industry is very least. It's even more least when people around me value money over the worth of what I bring as a human being. I'm a character of someone of respect. I am someone that has given and fed those around me when they did not have. Why would anybody want to destroy that mindset, that viewpoint, and put a perspective on me as anything but the same person they knew before the fame? Envy. Now, envy is a subject we address. Envy of stardom. Why would someone dislike me because I have this fame when they don't know what it's like to be me in this fame, but still open my heart to give to those that I see subtly either plotting on me or treating me indifferent, unjust from what it is they used to, but I continue to stay the same? Envy of worth. I'm someone that has built up my worth, my value, my understanding, everything it is that has meant success. And I have used it to give to others when I did not have to. Why is that held against me? Why would someone take any value, anything I have as jest, and just look for that instead of the person that's creating the value and revenue that could create a lifetime of value and revenue in everyone's life that I value? Why don't they care about me? Envy of attention. What type of attention is it worth to give when life is so much more precious in front of me? Any attention could come from anyone, but I respect the fans. I respect their hearts. I respect everyone around me. I respect everything to the point to give my own self over to not having in order to see those around me have that I care about. Again, why don't you love me? Revenge. As we've seen revenge in a situation. Revenge of the past. My past was not perfect. No one's past was perfect. Matter of fact, I can't think of anybody's past who was squeaky clean, or whether they had an amazing past, their future was not the best. Why do they hold minds against me? Why take my past and use it to define my present and my future? Why is it when I love someone from the past that the only future they care about is doing whatever they want to do, not caring about my feelings, when I make sure they eat, they sleep, they have a place to stay, and I am me. I am the only me that has been created from my rough past. I've opened my heart to love those who have given me trouble. Why can't you see that in me? And why can't you understand that to love me? Revenge in the present. I know that my past was bad once again, but in this present, I reacted only how my enemies reacted. They expected of me, but did whatever they wanted to do in my presence and did whatever they wanted to do around me, not caring about my friendship and judging me off of what I had and the fact I couldn't mimic it and hand it to them without the hard work. A lot of you did not do the hard work that you said you were going to do. Matter of fact, a lot of you plotted before my enemies came for me. That is why joy was amongst those when you arrived. That is why you rejoiced when you arrived. But know this, you did that for no gain in the future. Matter of fact, you did that in a moment. I'm someone that never lived upon moments. I lived upon the future, knowing the past of what I came from. Why couldn't you put that in the present to deliver the same love I did to all of you? Hidden agenda revenge. The hidden agenda, I've spoken on it many times. Many will not even understand even till this day. But there has always been an agenda afflicting the world around us. Always been an agenda against those I love. Always been an agenda on my stardom and everything I created when all I wanted to do was see everyone I loved win. Why didn't it matter to you? Was it because of different things at the moment? Again, we did different choices we made when we were young. Why did you use that to define me? Did you not look at my heart? Did you not look at what it was I thought of and wanted to bring to our lives? Yes, you looked at your life. And now that my life may not be here for you to look at, verify, judge from, make decisions on, you will still look in that mirror. And when you see the remembrance of me, you will remember the hidden agenda you placed upon everything I was worth. Why couldn't you take the time to love me? Those are the keynotes I took. I went through Love, Envy, Revenge. I listened to a lot of his songs. I replayed them over and over. I pulled out ideology from a lot of the basis of concepts of his song. And that is how I kind of formulated that. So I freestyled from that exactly what it was when I listened to songs, and exactly how these things were and afflicted when he was addressing certain people a certain way. The key thing to remember, even though it's love, envy, revenge, envy was the lack of love for the stardom he created for everyone else, the lack of worth that he brought to his family, he brought to his circle, the lack of attention that he didn't really mind not having attention, but couldn't help a lot of fans loving him. Why did the fans love me more than the friends? In the situations where the friends were questioned on their love. Revenge of the past. Why couldn't someone in my past love me a certain way, but in revenge in the present, I'm building my love with this person from the past and the present, but I have people who want revenge on me now that I fulfilled love in the present. So my love is with people in the present, but I have people from my past, not from the past, from the present, that I tried to build love with, looking to harm me and hate me, when I am enacting that very love through my music and everyone around me. But why can't they love me genuinely enough to not touch the women around me, to not harm things that I care about, to not betray my trust, to not use my social media and use me as a come up? Why can't they love me enough? And the love, apart from the hidden agenda, there's a lot going on around me, but I turn a blind eye. And I show the fact that I love everyone that's around me. I show the fact that I continually love and love again, but no one seems to return it. I went a past without love. Now I'm dealing with a present with lack of. Where's the love? Yes, I behave in a way that makes people feel I'm cold-hearted and I'm some type of player. And I'm not saying that I don't love a good piece, but at the end of the day, that doesn't change the fact I want someone to come home to that says I love you too. You know, it's really sad.
If I could add really quick, if you don't mind, I just wanted to add that it's, how can I say it? When you don't know people in a very intricate, deep level, you know, over years of time of knowing someone, that's not to say that you know, the love changes or anything, but I would find that it would be a little bit more easier for people to love when they really don't know someone. Does that make sense? If certain people only get like the not to say that the persona from the artist would be different from who the person actually is, but then again, I guess it would be, because he was fairly conservative as far as not really seeking that much attention or wanting to be more reserved in his own personal time. So when you know someone, wouldn't that create or certain situations over time would produce problems
it would,
as far as getting the amount of love that he deserves? And also on top of that too, looking at the environment that he is in, that type of environment is very extreme on some level. It's very boisterous, it's very extreme, and it's very self-centered.
Even so, the concept, in my mind, the concept of love does not change. It is just that there are people, when you get to a certain level, the craziest thing that I've learned is sometimes, most times, it will be the people that's closest to you that really want to take you out, and you won't even know it. It'll be the ones that you thought have that undivided love for you, but then a stranger would treat you like home cooked food. So I understand what you mean by that, But in my presumption, on when I was listening to the songs, stardom makes that even more riskier. So if we're examining that, stardom adds an infinite multiplier. That means that when you're in a certain position of power, the people that you think will hate you the most end up being the people who love you most and who will do anything for you. And the people who you love the most, who you thought would love you back the most, will be the ones that are the fastest to try and take you out. And that is where my thoughts of love, envy, revenge come from, because those, in my mind, are the only things that can afflict that situation. So even if I think love is secure, there can still be a level of envy that can afflict me, or a level of revenge for something I may not have thought a big deal. Like, say I tease someone over the raps, or I tease someone over a girl, and I was with a girl. It would make sense why I'd see certain people hanging around the same girl trying to smash, doing different things that are odd, just mentioning they'll pick the hoes over the flows. That type of weird stuff is where I can categorize into envy or revenge, because even if they say they love me, and they could definitely love me, that doesn't mean that they're void of envy or void of wanting revenge. And that is where I presume those two characteristics come in behind love. Now, the type of love, I just gave it those three categories because, you're going to get love over the music and the money. A mother's love, you ever hear the concept of a mother's love? There's nothing like it. That means no one's going to love you more than your mama. That type of ideology, but then fake love is something that could trump all that. So even, let's say you think a sibling loves you, that could be fake love. There are some people in their life who had a mother that never loved them. That's fake love. There's many different type of scenarios I feel how love can be defined, but then there is the concept of envy and revenge that plays into the set to cause certain actions to happen. And that's what my presumption of this entire case is defined. And that's where I believe the suspects are stuck. I believe they don't have love in the situation because, like you said, they may not have known him. Was there revenge? Well, people tried to add revenge to Trayvon, but in the same token, we don't even know that to be Trayvon. So if I can't categorize that, I can definitely go to envy, because the only reason you'd be willing to harm me or in my life, it would be envy of what it is I have, envy of what it is you don't have, envy of the attention I get, or envy of what it is I'm worth to a community that you're maybe not worth. That's where I've been categorizing these situations. That's actually how I've been able to understand the information prior to a lot of different things, because doing a lot of videos, sometimes topics, they can go, and even when I switch them, but when I go back to love, envy, revenge, it begins to reform the picture for me of exactly where people are, exactly what their motives could have been. So that's sort of like the order I give to any investigation. And in this one, it made it easier from his music. If I was listening to his music and it had a negative connotation to it, I always find one of these characteristics in it of what he's speaking about. So he's always himself trying to explain these emotions he's feeling towards what someone's doing. And I'm always finding love, envy, or revenge is someone against him. And that saddens me because, he has some songs he tried to have fun on, but then there's a bunch of artists who all they do is have fun in his music. That is why I believe that his pain played a part into his growth and his progress, but at the same time, it also was his curse, because these things continually played over and over in his life And the key thing was love. You know, he didn't get it like he wanted in the beginning. Then when he's finally getting it, you got someone else that's envious or wants revenge. So now he's in another situation. And I believe that was the ultimate crush to what it is he brought in his persona. That's just my ideology dealing with this case and what I use. I asked these questions because they were just questions that came up. I'm not going to hold everybody. I thank you guys for watching. Guys, let them know where they can find you. Anywhere they can find you.
All right, you can find me on IG and Twitter under Chris_A_AY3. Chris_A_AY3.
Queen?
Yes. So, you all can find me again, YouTube and Twitter at Queen Prodigy, also on IG at Queen Prodigy 0369. And if I could add one more thing to what you were saying about pain, love, betrayal, etc. How can anyone know how to find love if they really don't know what those characteristics consist of?
In my mind, love is not, it has nothing to do with a find. It has everything to do with a feel. Like there's some music you listen to and you love it. And there's some music you listen to, you love it, but you don't know why. And my opinion is when you look at the characteristics of something and why you love it, that will help define the why you love something. And I believe a lot of people's issue is that they say love, but they look at things. But when you take time to sit back and look at why you love it, you begin to love it more and you love it with a passion. So I believe a lot of people have issues loving with a passion because they're so afraid of the bad. But if you love unconditionally, you defeat everything that comes with loving with a grudge or loving with a gripe, loving to love demanded, loving trying to force your love on someone. I believe that those situations of people is what leads to violence, setbacks or issues, insecurity issues. Men should not have insecurity issues. That's not in the genre of a man. You know what I mean? When men have this, that's how I know they have problems. There's no man that should be insecure, whether it be about their body, but there's so many men I see that are insecure in life. And that usually leads to an abuser, a person that's trying to force things. It literally ends up defining their whole persona when if they learn to love themselves, that the love would come to them. If you don't love yourself, there's no way you can be loved. And you can't force someone to love you if they don't love you. That's a lot of men's problems. And that's ultimately what, in my mind, defines a male from a man. Because a man's going to know he's not still going to be that teenager mind trying to force someone to love him or attacking people to make them love you. You get past that. Because when you grow, just like in school, when someone says no, they say no. There are men that are over 40 that can't accept no because they're so insecure with themselves. They don't love themselves that they have to try and force someone to love them. But that's what can happen. That's the danger of a mother's love, because they'll try and make a mother's love out of a random woman who ain't your mama. That's the problem. And when men move that way, they create problems for other men. And that's the thing, because you leave behind a broken person because of your stupidity, and you destroy opportunity, and then you still don't get what you want in the end because you're insecure with yourself and you don't love yourself. You know, and most of those men don't look in the mirror, and if they do, they're disgusted by what they see. And that's just how it kind of works. So, you know, what I'm saying is love starts from the inside. But if you can't love unconditional, then it's not love.
And I mean, as you stated, unconditional love begins with self. And, you know, this is an interesting topic, bringing up this on Mother's Day. But how do, what I want to know, since I have, you know, a male panel to my, you know, to my disposal, or, you know, I just wanted to find out when did you all realize that there's an appropriate time to remove or to let go of a mother's love and allow a woman's love to take over? Because I feel like a lot of men probably struggle with letting go of when their woman should be first, or should be respected, or should have some level of stature in comparison to their mother.
If there's a woman that you're looking to make a wife, every man should know that your wife comes before your mother. You never stop loving your mother. But the problem is most men hold on to a mother's love and define that as the end all be all. You're supposed to love your mom, but if your mom's telling you to come over here and rub my feet, and your wife's like, I need you to come home, you have to tell your mom, I'll see you tomorrow to rub your feet. And then you got to go take care of your wife. And I think that's why most marriages don't last, because they're running to their mother's beck and call, and they're not giving the respects their wife deserves. That's what a lot of men fail at. Another point is, I didn't have a choice whether to let go of my mother's love. I lost my mother when I was 8 years old. I lost my mom. So I never was given that decision. So I've always had that male perspective as far as hard work, what I've done, the choices I've made. So with that said, some people are fortunate to never have to let go of their mother's love. But what they need to know is that their wife comes first. And that's a woman you're going to make your wife comes first. You never put your mother above your wife. You tend to your family, or you take them with you to see your mother, and you all take care of her. This is the old school way that has grown to make the generation we know as ourselves. But a lot of things in current day are ending that perception, from the music to different things. And when you think about it, a lot of big name rappers got a wife and kids. So they know what they're supposed to do, but they're okay feeding you the music to trick around and hit as many broads as you can. But you have to be intelligent enough to rock your head to the song, but then go be with your wife and take care of your kids. But ultimately, most men's minds can't even reach that point, because there are some men walking around who aren't employed, trying to live off of women, who don't plan on getting a job. And still want the power to control their household. It doesn't work that way. Either you're working, feeding your family, or you're shutting up and doing whatever the woman says. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't put your feet up being lazy and your butt ain't getting up, getting to work every day, or you're not up making money, making a hard-earned living every day. That proves your manhood. You know, you define your manhood if you're unemployed and trying to demand a woman around. You already destroyed your manhood. So if you've been questioning your manhood, I'm helping you today. You lost your manhood. You can't order the woman around, but then she's busting her back, coming home cooking meals. It doesn't work that way. Though that throws energy off. There's no yin yang there. That's like yang yang. You can't do that. You have to divert yourself to handling business. So the men that work hard and come home to their family, they can come home comfortable to a meal. Even if the woman eats, even if they works, even if they're alternating cooking, you still have to get up and put in an honest day's living. If you don't live your life that way, you're not to be respected. Like you're not, the rule is you don't get respected, period. No matter how much you kick and scream and cry, because you're not doing a man's duty, but you're demanding the ideology of a man. And sometimes, even in a man's position, you're out doing certain things you shouldn't be doing. I could give many examples, but either you're trying to have a family and be a family man, or you're out doing what the rap songs rapping about. It's either or. The problem is too many men are trying to mix and mold this ideology without perfecting either or. And that's just my opinion on what you're saying about the mama's love and the love. It's a different type of love. But again, I didn't have the opportunity to deal with the mama's love. I had it, and when I had it, it was sweet, but I lost it when I was 8. So I don't know it as some people would know it now. But what I do know is that my wife comes first. I take care of my family, then I go home. And if you meet a man not doing that, that is not a man. At least not a man you want to be in charge. Because you want a partner, someone who's on the ride, not someone that jumps off every time they see a nickel on the ground. You get what I'm saying? They jump out the ride to grab the nickel while the car is still going forward. You don't want that. And when they're behaving that way, you got to get away from it because they're shaky. You're shaky. That's why you end up doing weird things. That's why you end up coming home early in the morning. When you know your wife's home, you're supposed to be home a certain time. That's why you think that way and behave that way, because your family's not first. Honestly, depending on your religion, there are some people that put other things first, but your family is always number 2 or number 1, however you want to set up the chart. It never comes after, oh, the homies, my relatives. You don't put your family behind that. And some people run and jump and skip to that, and they end up doing that, ruining their relationships and trying to come back. No, if you messed it up front, you missed what it was to be a man. So you have to take that L, period. And they'll try and do whatever they want. I know many different situations, but the bottom line is they lost their manhood. And they know it. They're just trying to compensate by playing tough on the woman because their manhood isn't there for them to be a man, to stand as a man as they should have in the beginning. And what's crazy is often me saying this, it's going to teach some people, but they're in a point where they're trying to come back and do it. Sometimes you don't get that opportunity. And it's because you shouldn't have been a sucker up front, period. You shouldn't have been a sucker from the jump. You should have been around more thorough people. You should have been around more thorough people. But when you hang around the dummies, you're going to act like a dummy, period. So that can't be helped.
Could the influence of like, I think you stated this earlier, how men are looking for their mothers, right? As far as trying to find a significant other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, wouldn't that have a huge effect on what men are attracting to themselves?
What do you mean attracting to themselves?
Meaning that if they're looking for love and they keep coming into a dead end, and they see certain behaviors of their mother in someone, and let's just say the relationship could be good or it may not be, whichever way.
To define that, define that, I'd have to direct you. Have you ever heard of the man mindset?
No.
That's on YouTube. I've spoken on the show before. Check out the man mindset. In the man mindset, a man doesn't think that way. If a man loses greatly, so say a man isn't with a woman or saying, this is going to be my wife, you never take a loss. Because whether a woman wants to be with you or not, is irrelevant. Now, there are situations where you're going to speak your piece, but we never get to the point where we're physically trying to assault women or hurt women or threaten women just because they don't want to be with us. That is a sucker and a lame. And that individual honestly needs to take the Mossberg and put it in their mouth, because you ruin what it is to be a man. Matter of fact, that behavior ruins men getting women altogether. That's why you see the creeps out here flashing women, sending nudes to women unwanted, doing weird things because they don't know what it is to be a man. They just and when they try and talk game, the woman smells it coming. But when you carry yourself a certain way as a man of respect, it comes to you off a simple conversation. There's simple body languages and contact features that you can do to let a woman know that you're interested from the jump. And these men don't know how to do that. That's why I told you man mindset, and it's manmindset.com, because that literally breeds a man to know how to behave to a woman. Because the way you're saying it, women should be running after a man. Just like Tentacion, there should never be a time when a man's just chasing women that don't want them. It should always be women coming to you. And the way you behave, it has nothing to do with the way a man looks. It has nothing to do with the way you do things. Yes, you want to groom, you want to smell good, you want to do those normal things, but your behavior should draw a woman to you. And then when a man's extra emotional over it, especially when they know they did a lot of wrongs, they lack what it is to be a true man. And that is why suckers end up and lames end up where they are in those positions, because they don't know how to behave as a man. Yet they want to have the dominance of it. But if you really know them, they have a lot of soft tendencies. So they'll do a lot of backdoor stuff. Some of them even taking it in the back door on a regular, but going home trying to beat their woman into submission. That's where you get those situations, because they don't have man mindset. So they're not thinking as a man. So what I'm trying to say is, what you're asking me is about a male, because a man is something totally different. It's not the same thing. A man is something else. A male is this, and it has nothing to do with how much you have, how much you earn. It's about the basics. Do you work? Do you take care of your business? Do you do things in which a woman can come to you to rest her head? She doesn't have to worry about you being an annoyance versus everything else you do, because you don't carry yourself properly, because you're not doing anything with yourself, because you're threatening to have something done for you, because you don't have balls big enough to handle your business, to come home to something that is well worth the man you have become from doing what you're supposed to do. I'm sorry, guys. I don't. It's a whole ideology that you have to look into, and that's basically what a lot of men are missing. And I mean, there's no age limit to it. It goes up to 30, 40, 50. It goes per person and what their knowledge and understanding is on them dealing with women. A lot of them lack it. So they try and force things the way they want instead of using the passive man mindset to get everything they want. So what you're mentioning is not men or a man, it is males. That means they have the male genitalia. They're not a man, though.
So basically, it's usually males that listen to their mothers if their mothers tell them, hey, forget love, just forget it, just run around, do your thing. If she's encouraging that behavior, and he truly wants to find a wife or wants to find someone to have a potential connection with, like you said, a mother's love is strong. wouldn't she have a stronger influence on the way that he moves as well?
Well, if it's not set up in the way the man wants from the jump, so if the man wants to find love, and the mother's like, it really doesn't depend on what the mother says. If there's a woman they're trying to find it with, and that woman says, no, I don't want it. If the man's not strong enough to go out and bounce back and realize they're unwanted, then they're still a male. They're not really a man, because they're not able to take the hints that's being given to them to get lost. So they're like, well, I'm gonna fight to make this happen. And that's where you run into suckers and lames, because they're not in a position to actually be a man. They're just a male trying to be a leech because they're insecure with themselves. If they're secure with themselves, they'll give their mama a kiss on the head and say, see you later, mom. And they're probably off to a date while she's saying that. You get what I'm saying? Like, the man mindset is deep. And that's the problem for a lot of men, that males that are trying to portray a man, is because they don't understand the difference.
And so do you think it's acceptable for men to accept financial advances from their mothers at any beck and call whenever they need it? Or should it be their responsibility to work on things with their partner in order to, let's just say, plan a vacation or purchase, large items or whatever the situation may be? Can the dependency on his mother ruin the relationship between what he can build with his potential wife?
Well, if the man is putting so much emphasis on his mother instead of talking with you and having a conversation with you about what's going on with his mom before he even shows up with his mom, that's an issue. If my mother's calling me over to talk about something, I should be like, hey, mom, I'll see you shortly. I should be able to give you a call. Hey, babe, I'm going to be over to my mom's house. Let me know if you need anything. When I get there, we'll talk. I just got to do something for real quick. I'll see you shortly. That's the only thing that should happen. Even when they're talking with their mom, they should talk, but it shouldn't be something that influences them against you unless there's reason. And if they're bringing harm or hatred against you without reasoning, especially over words, number one, if a male is attacking a woman over words, they are a complete they're garbage. Put them in the garbage, because they're lacking what it is initially. And that's number one. That shows complete insecurity. I never had to feel a certain way over a woman's words, what they said to me. Not that it wasn't important to me, but that's not going to make me put my hands on them. That's female tendencies. So that's how you sense a female streak in a male, if they're doing that. You know what I mean? And then coming back saying, oh, I'm sorry. Because if I shouldn't have to say sorry to my woman that much, because I should be on my business. I should be handling business. We're a team. I shouldn't have time to treat someone's opinion about you over anything we're building, because we're a team. We're building together. And if I have secrets like that to hide in things, we got issues off the jump, because I'm trying to hide secrets. Listen, number one, as a male, it's called transparency. I'm going to say, before we go any further, I'm going to stop and say, as a male, being a man, if you're not transparent with a woman, and that means you being able to understand taking a hint when they're telling you something, like if they say no, you should be like, all right, cool, whatever. If you're getting emotional off of this stuff, being aggressive, attack, you might as well change your sex to a female, because that's what women do. We're transparent. We say what we mean, and we don't show that type of emotion over a situation. I shouldn't be threatening a woman, shouldn't be hating her, shouldn't be trying to hit her, trying to set her up. When they're doing all that, they're doing what women do. Women do that. So you have women like behaviors. Now, maybe because if they're raised by their mom, maybe that can be an answer. But when they come into age of being man age, they should already have kicked those habits. That's how you know when a sucker's on your hands.
So even having the principle of having male role models or father figures is vitally important to how a man will be able to be successful in finding love if he is seeking it. Because I think, like you said, a lot of men seem to have the issue to where they want to hold on to the ego of looking like a player just in case, you know, but at the same time too are being disappointed when hoes do them dirty.
Well, see, like that, the thing is, if it's a man mindset, and let's say he's not looking to marry anyone, not in a committed relationship, he should always be on the move. And by the time a woman's even doing him dirty, even let's say it shouldn't get to that point, but say it does get to that point, when she's with someone else, he should already be on the next person, because he's so secure with himself that he doesn't have to wait around for a person to want him. Or he doesn't have to argue with someone to love him or force someone to do what he wants because he's man mindset. He doesn't have to do that. And that's why some of these males, ladies, that's why a lot of these guys who are claiming to be men are delusional in life, because they think they can force things their way, but you're really a feminine sucker. And if we do research into you, you've probably done a ton of feminine sucker stuff. I'm just being real, like a ton of it. But you're yet trying to be in a position to be a man. And the woman senses that. That's why they won't respect you, because it's a sense thing. Women have a certain pheromone sense we do. She's going to sense that. So it's best you move on to find someone who doesn't know that about you, and this time do things right. Because there's certain things you do that a woman won't forgive, especially when it comes to violence, threatening, doing different things. Tad will tell her a certain way to set a woman up. Like women do that. And when a male does it, you're automatically a sucker. Whether your homeboys know or not, you're a sucker. Bottom line, you lost your manhood. But you're going to play King Kong, I'm tough, I'm this, because, well, you're a male. But bottom line is, you're a sucker. Period. There's no coming back from being a sucker. When you do certain sucker things, you can't come back and play tough on a woman, especially when a woman's going out every day getting it for her family on her own. You can't, it's impossible. If you're not working as hard as that woman, you can't even match her in language. You can just try and scream and force things. And that's the difference between man mindset. If someone's really in the man mindset, you don't have to do that, because she's going to recognize who you are without you saying anything. You're not even going to have to say nothing. She's going to already know what it is. You know, you're going to have to verbally make threats. You're going to have to say this. We won't have to, because she knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And not that it's anything violent. She knows that you mean business. She means business. You're a team. But you have too many suckers out here creeping on women, hiding on women, trying to come uninvited to women's houses, doing mad sucker things to make excuses. Then when they get penalized, they make an excuse why they're not a sucker. That makes you even bigger of a sucker, because you're not man enough to stand on what you do. And you're such a coward. You're scared to stand for your choices. But then you want to come back and say you're sorry when at the time you couldn't think straight. Those are the definitions of a sucker, for real. Those are the males that make it hard for the men because they're such a sucker. They can't even be an adult about their business to say, I'm a be better than this. There are so many men that walk around and they're okay not having a job, living off of a woman, not even a hustle, not even a business. They're okay just living off of a woman. You're a sucker. You should have something going, a business, something you're involved in. She shouldn't have to come home and see your feet up on the couch or like just weird sucker type stuff these guys do. You ruined what it meant to be a man. The moment you popped out the womb and decided to live how you live. So that's why I understand what you're saying. But the problem's not the mother. It's the man, it's the male lacking the mentality to try and be a man. And it has nothing to do with finances. It has to do with the mentality to do what a man's supposed to do that you can't seem to grasp. But that's conversation for another time, you know. But yeah, to my knowledge and things, on top of that, in a better note, slide over to Man Mindset on YouTube. It is a great YouTube. I learned a lot from watching him. You can slide over to manmindset.com, check out his channel. You'll learn a lot. Seriously. You'll really learn a lot. You know, I rock with y'all almost 2 hours. I'm about to slide out of here. I'm not trying to hold y'all any longer. Everybody here is awesome. I look forward to catching up with them again this week. Guys, I'm trying to do maybe Tuesday, Wednesday live if we could. I'm gonna keep you posted on how that goes. I'll definitely have uploads. Go over, check out Queen Prodigy on Instagram, on Twitter. Follow her YouTube. It's Queen Prodigy on YouTube. Go check out her YouTube channel. Subscribe. Support the movement. Everybody, just hit her up through the messages if you want to get readings and different things. I appreciate everyone for rocking with me. I appreciate everyone for taking the time. Slide over to Chris_AY3 on Instagram. Follow him, chat it up with him. And you guys know how I rock, always rock, all rights reserved.